Hello, my darling, and welcome to today's story time. We are on the 7th day of Dante Challenge, reading at an accelerated pace so you can read on your own time and fall asleep to these. And now, on with our story time. Canto 7. Ah me, O Satan, Satan, loud exclaimed Plutus, an ancient horse of wild alarm. And the kind sage, whom no event surprised, to comfort me thus spake. Let not thy fear harm thee, for power in him, be sure, is none to hinder down this rock thy safe descent. Then, to that sworn lip turning, Peace, he cried, cursed wolf, thy fury inward on thyself, pray, and consume thee. Through the dark, profound, not without cause he passes. So it is willed on high, there, where the great archangel poured heaven's vengeance on the first adulterer, proud. As sails full spread and bellying with the wind dropped suddenly collapsed, if the mast split, so to the ground down dropped the cruel fiend. Thus we, descending to the fourth steep ledge, gained on the dismal shore. That all the woe hems in all of the universe. Ah me, almighty justice, in what store thou heapst new pains, new troubles, as I here beheld, wherefore doth fault of ours brings us to this, even as a billow on Charybdis rising, against encountered billow dashing breaks. Such is the dance this wretched race must lead, whom more than elsewhere numerous here I found, from one side and the other, with loud voice, both rolled on weights by main forge of their breasts, and smote together, and each one forthwith rolled them back, voluble, turning again, exclaiming these, Why holdest thou so fast? Those answering, And why castest thou away? So still repeating their despiteful song, they to the opposite point on either hand traversed the horrid circle, then arrived, both turned them round, and through the middle space conflicting, met again. At sight whereof I, stung with grief, thus spake. O say, my guide, what race is this? Were these whose heads are shorn on our left hand, all separate to the church? He straight replied, In their first life these all in mind were so distorted that they made, according to due measure of their wealth, no use. This clearly from their words collect, which they howl forth, at each extremity arriving of the circle, where their crime, contrary in kind, disports them. To the church were separate those, that with no hairy cowls are crowned, both popes and cardinals, over whom avarice dominion absolute maintains. I then, mid such as these some needs must be, whom I shall recognize, that with the blot of these foul sins were stained. He answered thus, Vain thought, conceivest thou? That ignoble life, which made them vile before, now makes them dark, and to all knowledge indiscernible. Forever they shall meet in this rude shock. These from the tomb with clenched grasp shall rise, those with close shaven locks, that ill they gave, and ill they kept, hath of the beauteous world deprived, and set them at this strife, which needs no labored phrase of mine to set it off. Now mayest thou see, my son, how brief, how vain, the goods committed into fortune's hands, for which the human race keeps such a coil. not all the gold that is beneath the moon or ever have been of these toil-worn souls might purchase rest for one. I thus rejoined, my guide, of thee this also would I learn, this fortune that thou speakest of. What is it? Whose talents grasp the blessings of the world? He thus, O beings blind, what ignorance besets you? Now my judgment hear and mark. He, whose transcendent wisdom passes all, the heavens creating, gave them ruling powers to guide them, so that each part shines to each, their light in equal distribution poured. By similar appointment he ordained over the world's bright images to rule, superintendents of a guiding hand, and general minister, which at due time may change the empty vantages of life from race to race, from one to other's blood, beyond prevention of man's wisest care. Wherefore, one nation rises into sway, another languishes, even as her will decrees, from us concealed, as in the grass, the serpent train. Against her not avails your utmost wisdom. She with foresight plans, judges, and carries on her reign, as theirs the other powers divine. Her changes know none intermission. By necessity, she's made swift, so frequent come who claim succession in her favors. This is she execrated even by those whose debt to her is rather praise. They wrongfully with blame requite her, and with evil word. But she is blessed, and for that recks not, amidst the other primal beings glad rolls on her sphere, and in her bliss exults. Now on our way pass we to heavier woe descending, for each star is falling now, that mounted at our entrance and forbids too long our tarrying. We the circle crossed the next steep, arriving at a well. That boiling pours itself down to a fosse sluiced from its source. Far murkier was the wave than sablest grain, and we in company of the inky waters, journeying by their side, entered, though by a different track, beneath. Into a lake the Stygian named expands the dismal stream, when it hath reached the foot of the grey, withered cliffs. Intent I stood to gaze, and in the marish sunk descried a Murray tribe, all naked, and with looks beckoning to rage. They with their hands alone struck not, but with the head, the breast, the feet, cutting each other piecemeal with their fangs. The good instructor spake, Now seest thou, son, the souls of those whom anger overcame. This too for certain know, that underneath the water dwells a multitude, whose sighs into these bubbles make the surface heave, as thine eye tells thee whatsoever in turn. Fixed in the slime, they say. Sad, once were we in the sweet air made gladsome by the sun, carrying a foul and lazy mist within. Now, in these murky settlings are we sad. Such dolorous strain they gurgle in their throats, but word distinct can utter none. Our route thus compassed we, a segment wildly stretched between the dry embankment and the core of the loathed pool, turning meanwhile our eyes downward on those who gulped its muddy lees, nor stopped, till to a tower's low base we came. And this, my darling, ends our story time for today. As always, I hope that you have very sweet and creepy dreams.